Hello movie fans and welcome to Lost in the Reel. Today we're going to be talking about Arcadian, a new monster horror film starring Nicolas Cage. The movie premiered to glowing reviews out of South by Southwest, but does it live up to the hype? Let's talk about it. Arcadian is about a man and his twin teenage sons who must fight to survive in a remote farmhouse at the end of the world. The challenges of growing up are made worse by the terrors awaiting the boys and their father after the sun has set. While Thomas begins to distance himself amidst a burgeoning new love, Joseph tinkers and researches a way to try to find a solution to destroy their nighttime enemies. But when their father becomes injured, they must use all of their skills he has taught them and come together to face their foes head on. Everyone loves a good monster movie. I mean, audiences have come out in droves to watch the new Godzilla x Kong movie. But even more than the fun smash-em-up flicks like that, I like the monster movies that are truly horrifying and get under your skin. I'm talking The Thing, The Descent, The Mist, and A Quiet Place. Films that create unique, terrifying monsters and set them out to wreak havoc amongst our protagonists, but also have something powerful to say. And after hearing the reviews out of South by Southwest for Arcadian, I thought that this movie could be in line with the classics that I just mentioned. Unfortunately, I don't believe that this new Nicolas Cage movie reaches those heights, as there are a couple of things that really hold it back. But I also have to say that I did enjoy the movie overall and would be very interested in a sequel if that ever came to fruition. Let's start with the positives. I really like the progression of this story and that it focused on the two sons rather than Nick Cage's father character. Although I do love myself an unhinged, crazy Cage, he dials it back quite a lot here and gives a much more introspective performance. He also lets Jaeden Martell from It fame and Maxwell Jenkins, who play his two sons, really have the spotlight and room to shine. This also has a lot to do with the fact that his character is sadly incapacitated for a lot of the movie, but I digress. The character work here is, at least with Thomas and Joseph, much more nuanced and rich than you would expect from a monster movie like this. The twins are growing up to be two very different people, and the conflict that arises because of that really adds a lot of depth to Arcadian. I also love the creature effects in this movie, especially considering what a tight budget this film was operating on. The success in this department surely has something to do with the fact that director Benjamin Brewer was one of the lead VFX artists on Everything Everywhere All at Once. While most films like this, especially nowadays, get worse as they go along because the creature reveals begin to disappoint, Arcadian is actually the complete opposite. With the first sight of these horrific beasts, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty underwhelmed. But as the film continues, we are gifted with more and more surprises about these monsters, and they begin to become far more terrifying than when we were first introduced. I don't want to give anything away, but one of the things they do before they attack to stun their victims made me gasp out loud every single time. But there are definite issues here, as I said before. My biggest con with Arcadian is that it's just not long enough. At 90 minutes, I felt like I was just settling into this foreign world and getting to know these characters. Although I appreciate the movie's ambiguity of how we got into this apocalyptic situation, as it does add an air of mystery to the whole thing, I felt as if they could have built up this world a little more. It feels so isolated and unexplored. And while the movie does take a good amount of time at the beginning, fleshing these three characters out, I still felt like I didn't know them as much as I should have. An extra 20 to 30 minutes would have made all of the difference in making Arcadian feel more complete. Because as is, it feels very much like a part 1 in a saga that I have a feeling will never be continued. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I also found a lot of issue when it came to the editing and cinematography of the movie. I know it had a shoestring budget, but there is so much action that is either too dark, too blurry, or cut in a way where you don't know what's going on.
But nobody can see.
So
it'd be nice to see.
God damn it!
It's all happening so quickly and in such a manic way that while at times it does feel visceral, in others it feels frustrating because you're clueless as to what just happened. And then there are many moments when a character will be in one place, let's call it point A, and then a second later the movie cuts and they are all of a sudden at point B.
Hey, Frank, here's another idea.
Where'd you come from?
Little things like that kept happening and they would completely take me out of the movie. Finally, there's a part of me that couldn't shake the fact that Arcadian felt a little bit like the poor man's A Quiet Place. Although so much here is well done, the gritty, dire tone of Arcadian, the landscape, and even the creatures are all very similar to Krasinski's films. And I have to say, Krasinski did it so much better, though he did have a much larger budget to work with. While I was irritated at times that Arcadian kept getting in its own way of being the monster classic it could have been, I still had a decent time with it. I resonated with both of the lead characters and their plight, and was completely enthralled and terrified by the creature effects. While I couldn't shake a feeling of disappointment once the credits rolled, especially after all of the hype coming out of South by Southwest, if you are a big fan of these types of movies, I wouldn't miss it. If not though, I would just stick to A Quiet Place. Thank you so much for watching Lost in the Reel. What are your thoughts on Arcadian? Would you like to see a sequel to the movie? Sound off in the comment section down below. And until next time, my friends, take care.